We are a month into the NFL season, and thus means four teams are on a bye this week. So only 14 games to cover. Before we do, I want to quickly say if you are new, subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. Leave a like and let me know your thoughts down below on the week. Now let's jump right into it. We begin with Thursday night football, and it is the third rivalries game of the season. It is the San Francisco 49ers traveling to the Los Angeles Rams. It is the Rams' turn for the rivalry series game. And this is an interesting one. The 49ers had a pretty tough loss to the Jaguars last week. They lost a turnover battle by 4 in that game. Purdy looked rough. The entire team looked rough. Receivers are keep getting injured for their side. So it pretty much leaves them with Christian McCaffrey as their main offensive weapon. The Rams have been a team that have been playing very solid and structurally sound football pretty much the entire year. They sit at 3-1 with their one loss being the kind of the one time they didn't play a full game of structurally sound football. But the Rams are also a team that I'm just really a big fan of for this season. So I do have the Rams winning this game as they are 5.5 point favorites. But it's also the fact that it is their rivalry series game. They're in LA for this. They have a pretty good track record against San Francisco in LA. So with all of that, and just the fact that the Rams are healthy and are again one of my favorite teams in one of my favorite teams this season, I have the Rams winning. Traveling across the pond, the Minnesota Vikings have playing back-to-back games over there in Europe, and they're playing the Cleveland Browns this week. The Vikings are 3.5 point favorites in this game. The Vikings are coming off of a tough loss against the Steelers in Dublin last week, in a game that the Vikings pretty much only really showed up in that fourth quarter, and they made it a close game. But yeah, they were not going to win that game with how they played throughout the majority of it. Cleveland, they're 2 weeks removed from that really good win against the Packers. Very bad loss against the Lions last week. They're a team that just doesn't have an identity this season, which no one should be surprised by that. Quinshon Judkins did make his debut last week, and he played pretty darn well for them. But still, they're a team that I'm not too high on, so I do have the Vikings winning this game. Another part of it is we saw from last season that when you play back-to-back games in Europe, you're going to be playing a lot better that second game as you're not dealing with any of the jet lag that the other team is playing with. Jacksonville played 2 games back-to-back in London last year. They dominated the second one, struggled a bit with the first one. I'm expecting the same thing with the Vikings this season and in this second game over in Europe. So give me the Vikings to win. The Las Vegas Raiders are traveling to the Indianapolis Colts this week. The Colts are 6.5 point favorites in this game. The Colts had a very tough loss to the Rams last week. It was a close game. They probably should have won it, if aside from a few miscues from Adonai Mitchell, but they still played well in the loss nonetheless. The Raiders had a game that I was shocked they were in the lead majority of it. They were playing terribly, especially Geno Smith, but their defense was dominating that Bears offensive line. And Ashton Shenty seemingly hit the scene as he switched back to his full standing up running back position. And we'll see if he continues with it. I'm more curious though about the Colts in this game. My eyes are on them with this one. Are they going to bounce back from the loss against the Rams, or are we going to see them go on the slide? I think they'll bounce back. I have the Colts winning this game. It's just really tough for me to commit to that full slide when they showed me through 3 weeks that they're a team that can play really, really sound football. And it's just the fact that the Rams are a really, really good team, and it was a tough matchup for them. I think them being at home in this game and looking to bounce back going to be just fine. Give me the Colts to win. The New York Giants are traveling to the New Orleans Saints this week, and to my surprise, FanDuel has the Saints favored by 1.5 points in this game, and I really do not understand how that's the case. The Saints had a very tough loss against the Bills. Against the Bills, they're going to play bad and all that. The Saints are just a bad team this year. Talking about teams without an identity, they're looking to find their identity in next year when they have their franchise quarterback. The Giants, they have theirs. Jackson Dart had a really solid game against the Chargers last week, getting that very improbable win in his first start. The pairing of him and Cam Scadaboo, that's the future here in New York. I was a big fan of Scadaboo when he was entering the draft. I'm still a big fan of him and how he's playing. I do have the Giants winning this game. I have zero idea how FanDuel has the Saints favored at this current moment. I'm expecting that line to change come Sunday, but I'm taking advantage of it while I can. The Giants being the underdogs, technically, I'm picking the Giants to win. The Dallas Cowboys at 2.5 point favorites travel to MetLife. They play the New York Jets this week. The Jets had a very, very tough loss to Miami on Monday Night Football last week. A game that they kind of cost themselves. They made too many miscues. They fumbled the ball 3 times, quite a few costly penalties against them. And just all around a game where the Jets looked rough going against a Miami team that also has been rough this season. Meanwhile, Dallas, they sit at 1-2-1 after tying with the Packers on Sunday Night Football last week. Their offense is one of the best offenses in the league. In fact, they're the number one ranked offense in terms of yards per game, but they are dead last in terms of yards allowed per game, giving up 420 yards per game. This will be a great week for the Jets offense to get something going. I don't think it'll be enough, though. I do have the Cowboys winning this game. Their offense is just too good going against a Jets defense that has been struggling this season. I mean, Darren Waller was out there mossing Sauce Gardner for touchdowns on Monday Night Football. I'm expecting Jake Ferguson to have a solid game. George Pickens had a great game against the Packers defense. I'm expecting something similar here. So give me the Cowboys. The Denver Broncos are traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles this week. The Eagles are 4.5-point favorites in this game. And this game is one that massively intrigues me this week, mainly because of Denver. Their 2 losses on the season are from a combined 5 points, and they dominated against Cincy last week. They played a really solid game against Tennessee. Denver is still a team that could fight for that division and fight for a playoff spot after the first month of play. Philly, they're one of 2 undefeated teams remaining, and they have yet to really play a full game, in my opinion. So when is that going to happen? Is Denver going? Which version of Denver are we going to get? I'm not really sure. I was going back and forth the entire time with this game. I'm still not confident, but I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. I think really the bigger portion of all of this is going to be the fact that Denver played Monday Night Football, so they're on a short week, and the fact that they're going across country. They're going to have a little bit of jet lag, probably not a whole lot, but it's still going to be some effects there. This game is going to be close, I think, and come down to the wire, but I think the Eagles will be able to get it done. The Miami Dolphins at 1.5-point favorites are traveling to the Carolina Panthers this week. And boy, this game is going to be something. Miami got their first win last week against the Jets, a game that Darren Waller made his debut, and boy, did he play really, really well in it. He had 2 touchdowns in that game. The defense, after 3 weeks of not being able to force any kind of turnover, they forced 3 fumbles against the Jets. It seems like Miami is here now, and they're back, and they're finally brushed off the rust of the season and looking to go on a run. They're playing a Carolina team that has been really solid at home this season, but it's going to be an interesting test. Carolina, they had that very, very, very bad loss to the Patriots last week. They got killed in that game. So they're looking to bounce back. Again, Dolphin fan, I'm picking Miami to win this game. I think they're ready to go on a bit of a run. Their upcoming schedule over the next 5-6 weeks is not the toughest. They could definitely go on a run there, and it will start with this game against Carolina. So give me the Dolphins to win. The Houston Texans are traveling to the Baltimore Ravens this week, and the Texans are 1.5-point favorites in this game. And I could talk about Houston. I mean, their offensive line has been rough this season. They just traded away an offensive lineman. Their offense as a whole has been really rough this season, but their defense has been playing really well. But all eyes and all the stories are on Baltimore this week. Lamar Jackson is not expected to play in this game due to his hamstring injury. So that's going to be the main focal point of this is Cooper Rush getting the start and how well will he play. I don't think he'll play well enough. This Houston defense is really good. I have the Texans winning this game, but this could be a relatively lower scoring game. I still think Baltimore's defense is solid this season, even going to be without Madubuike the rest of the way, but it is still a solid defense that's kind of looking to find their stride. This could be the week, but at the end of the day, it's Baltimore without Lamar Jackson. They're going to be a very rough offense to watch, and they're going against the Houston defense, and I'm still pretty high on, so I have the Texans winning this game. The Tennessee Titans are traveling to the desert as they play the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 8.5-point favorites in this game. Tennessee got shut out by the Texans last week, 26-0. It was a very rough performance, and that's going to be the case most of this season. I mean, Cam Ward said it himself. This team is not good, and they were not going to be a great team this season, but they're going to be a team that maybe could surprise some people here and there, win a few games they shouldn't, and maybe at the very ceiling of their season, potentially be the 7th seed. Doesn't seem like that'll be the case now, but there's still some time here for this Tennessee team to find a footing and find an identity with Cam Ward. Arizona coming off that really tough loss against Seattle on Thursday Night Football. They're on 10 days rest. They're good, ready to bounce back. I have the Cardinals winning this game. The biggest thing, Marvin Harrison Jr., he played solid against Seattle. He did have that dropped pass that led to a pick, but at the end of the day, he finally found the end zone, and he seems like him and Kyler Murray have a good connection now. That's going to play a big factor. Plus the fact that this Arizona defense is a pretty good defense. Going to make things rough for Cam Ward. I have the Cardinals winning this game. What might be game of the week? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are traveling to the Seattle Seahawks this week. Seattle is 3-point favorites, and both teams are celebrating their 50th anniversaries. So thus, they're both wearing throwbacks for this game. It's a beautiful jersey matchup. We get to see that amazing looking Seattle home throwbacks going against that beautiful away creamsicle jerseys for Tampa. This game's going to be great. Tampa coming off of a tough loss to Philly, the game that they nearly clawed their way back in, but a few miscues late cost them the game. And Seattle coming off of that very tight win against Arizona. They're on 10 days rest. That's going to play an impact. As is this game going to be in Seattle, so Tampa is dealing with some jet lag, making one of the longest flights in the NFL. The only flight longer is Miami going to Seattle. So with all that, I still have Tampa winning this game. I am still holding on to what we saw in the first 3 weeks for Tampa and what this offense can do and what this defense can do. Hell, we saw flashes of it against Philly. Emeka Egbuka is a fantastic receiver. He is making his impact felt perfectly right now as a rookie. And this is a Tampa team that is ready to play no matter what. I do still like Seattle, but I like Tampa a bit more as we have the Buccaneers winning. The Detroit Lions are 10.5-point favorites, by far the largest spread of the week, as they travel to Cincinnati. This game is going to be ugly, and I mean ugly. Cincy the past 2 weeks with Jake Browning being the starter, they do not look like they have an identity at all offensively. It has been abysmal to watch. At the same time, their defense has really struggled, in part because they feels like they are constantly on the field, so they're getting tired constantly. The Lions are a team that are a Super Bowl contender this season. Their offense will make you pay for the tiniest of mistakes at most points, and their defense is one that, when healthy, which they are right now for the most part, is a really good defense. So I have the Lions winning this game. This was always going to be a tough game for Cincy to win, even if Burrow was healthy. But the fact that it's Jake Browning still the starter, yeah, there's no doubt that Detroit is going to be able to walk into Cincinnati and get a really nice win. The Washington Commanders are traveling to the Los Angeles Chargers this week. The Chargers are 2.5-point favorites in this game. I believe the expectation is Joe Alt is going to miss this game, and as of the time of recording, there's still no word on Jaden Daniels for if he's going to be playing in this one. But Washington is coming off of a pretty bad loss to Atlanta last week. The offense was pretty mediocre, to say the least. Their defense was very rough. They gave up a lot of yards to that Atlanta offense, and they're going against a Chargers offense that can definitely move the ball down the field. They struggled against the Giants, but they're going to be looking to bounce back. And the fact that this is a home game for them means that they're going to have a pretty solid job being able to bounce back. I do have the Chargers winning this game. I don't think Harbaugh is going to put anything lightly on this team throughout the week in practice. He's going to really emphasize how important this game is now because you are looking to bounce back and looking to not let things get too out of hand. So even with the fact that Joe Alt most likely is not playing in this game, I think the team as a whole will be ready to play, and thus the Chargers are going to win. Sunday Night Football, the 4th rivalries series game in the NFL season. The New England Patriots are traveling to the Buffalo Bills, with Buffalo being 8.5-point favorites. I believe the overall theme is Blizzard for this game, and I very well what might be the product on the field. New England has been a very weird team this year. They're sitting at 2-2. They've played well in their wins. They've played pretty bad in their losses. Buffalo, they're the other undefeated team alongside Philly, and they have been playing really well the entire first month of the season so far. And it is also still Buffalo. Josh Allen is a fantastic quarterback. The defense, even without Matt Milano and Ed Oliver, have been playing well this season. I do have Buffalo winning this game. It might be relatively close. I really don't know. But at the end of the day, Buffalo, I really have no doubt that Buffalo will be able to walk away with this one. They have been dominant over the entire AFC East pretty much since Josh Allen arrived and Tom Brady left. So I have the Bills winning this game. And to wrap things up, Monday Night Football, the 3-point favored Kansas City Chiefs are traveling to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to me, the big talking point is, are we going to see a similar performance in the Chiefs to what we saw last week? Xavier Worthy made his return last week against Baltimore, and boy, did he have an impact. He seems to be the primary weapon in this offense. The fact that he's back and he's now healthy again is a massive point of contention for this Chiefs team that's looking to try and make a run here after starting the season a pretty rough 2-2. Jacksonville is tied for first place in the AFC South at 3-1, coming off of a pretty solid win against San Francisco, but still a win that left quite a few things to be desired with them. This game being in Jacksonville, it's one I was going back and forth with as well, pretty similar to that Denver Philly game. I do have Jacksonville winning this one. I'm not fully confident in saying so. It's just they have been the more consistent team throughout this season so far. And for as much as I really like what we saw from Kansas City last week, I kind of need them to do it again before I can fully hop back on that Kansas City is back on that Kansas City is back wagon. I do think we'll see it this week. I'm just not sure to what extent or if it'll be enough. I do have the Jaguars winning this. Well, there you have it. My complete thoughts on week 5 of the NFL season. Let me know yours down below, and I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.